And then you have the other thing that maybe is even more disgraceful is the gag order, where I can't basically, I have to watch every word I tell you people. You ask me a question, a simple question, I'd like to give it, but I can't talk about it. Because this judge has given me a gag order and said you'll go to jail if you violate it. And frankly, you know what? Our Constitution is much more important than jail. It's not even close. I'll do that sacrifice any day.
Donald Trump says he would sacrifice jail time in order to be able to speak his mind and go against a gag order that he is dealing with in the hush money trial in New York. Now, Trump ended the 12th day of his hush money trial this afternoon by complaining to the press yet again about the gag order that has been put in place by the judge, that's Juan Merchan. Now, the judge also threatened the former president with time behind bars, jail time, if he violates the gag order yet again, something he seems poised to do, and might actually see as a political calculation that could help him raise money and garner even more support among voters, including right-leaning independent voters. We'll have that conversation in just a moment. But Trump did violate his gag order 10 times, according to the judge, who fined him yet another $1,000 for comments that he made during an April 22nd interview on Real America's Voice. Here's the part in question.
This judge said that you can't get away from the trial. You know, he's rushing the trial like crazy. Nobody's ever seen a thing go like this. That jury was picked so fast. 95% Democrats. The area is mostly all Democrat. You think of it as just a purely Democrat area. It's a very unfair situation, that I can tell you.
So the judge has made clear that Trump is free to attack him as much as he wants, but he can't attack the jurors. And in that statement, he's implying that since the jury pool was chosen from a predominantly Democrat area or a heavily blue area, it is likely that all the jurors are Democrats or political opponents to Trump. That is what he's implying there. And so that's why the judge took issue with it and said, you know, if you violate your gag order and attack the jury again, you're gonna serve time behind bars.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you.
This is so confusing. I don't know what I can say and can't say anymore.
There's only one thing you can't say. You can't say anything against the jurors or the witnesses.
That's it.
Wow, that's so complicated. I thought you were a very stable genius. You just can't keep that in your head. So like attacking the jurors, number one thing you cannot do, right? And so if you guys watch that and you go, wait, like he just said they're Democrats, that's not necessarily attacking them. It doesn't have to be, I want you to go and find out where these guys live and show them who's boss. You don't have to say that. But remember, his fans have sent pipe bombs to people that he has threatened or mentioned before as his opponents. And here he's saying the jury is unfair, it's rigged against me. And so these are my opponents, these jurors.
Right, he's implying that they're all Democrats and thus all opponents to Trump, and that it's an unfair system or this is an unfair trial. In fact, the judge called out Trump's attempt to delegitimize the entire trial and the jurors. He says defendant not only called into question the integrity and therefore the legitimacy of these proceedings, but again raised the specter of fear for the safety of the jurors and their loved ones. Now look, again, he's making statements about the jury, trying to make it appear as though the jury is illegitimate, his political opponents. But here's the reality. I think people are gonna see that statement that got him in trouble and led to his violation of the gag order, and they're gonna say, no, this guy's he's being politically persecuted. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't threaten the jurors. He didn't direct any violence toward the jurors. And so what I'm worried about is if the judge makes good on his promise, because we know Trump is gonna violate his gag order. He can't help himself. Whether he does so intentionally or unintentionally, I think is an interesting conversation that I wanna have. But I feel that he is going to violate the gag order, and I don't think the judge is gonna put him behind bars. And if he puts him behind bars for a statement like the one he made on that conservative news show, well, I think a lot of people are gonna think it's unfair.
Well, they're going to think that it's nebulous enough and they're going to think it's the only violation he had.
Right.
It's in fact going to be the 11th violation he has, but whichever the last one is the only one that people will look at. And unless he says, I want you to murder the jurors, they're going to say it was unfair. They're like, oh, well, look, I mean, what does that really mean, et cetera, right? So, but as you were talking, Anna, I was thinking, look, I've always assumed that it was unintentional. He has verbal diarrhea and he just can't contain himself. So he's like, it's so unfair. And he, like, one post he had on Truth Social just said in all caps, not fair. He sounds like a child. He's like, that's exactly what children say 24/7, not fair. I wanted that cookie and my brother got it instead, right? So I got that part and that's what I was assuming. But then as you were saying, maybe intentionally, I thought, actually, I'm even afraid to say it out loud, but it's not that bad a tactic. All he has to do is threaten one of the jurors and maybe he gets a tiny bit of jail time.
Gets like a night behind bars. He raises a ton of money.
But not only that, they'd probably have to do a retrial. And okay, because at that point, the juror's gonna say, are they gonna murder me? I can't stay on this jury, right?
That's a really good theory.
Yeah.
Because it's true. I mean,
he's gonna lose. He knows he's gonna lose. He never has any evidence. This is the case that he has the best chance of winning because he can say, well, I was doing it to protect my wife. I was doing it, yeah, but Michael Cohen is a lawyer and I paid him for legal fees. It just happened to be for bribes, but it's legal fees. Like, it's not impossible for him to win, even though he clearly falsified the business records. But he knows he did it. He knows he's guilty. So anytime he's in trouble, he might just want to, at some point, purposely screw up the jury pool so that the judge has to say, okay, we have to start over. And that would be a huge advantage for Trump.
It would be a huge advantage for Trump. But also, even if that's not what the plan is, in the short term, there are benefits as well. Because it's not like the judge is gonna throw him in prison for like a year or even a week. I think if anything, it'll be like for a night or two. And that makes Trump a sympathetic figure for some of the more moderate Republican voters or independent voters who lean to the right, who might have soured on Trump or never really bought into Trump, but might feel compelled to support him if they start viewing him as some sort of political figure who's facing political attacks, right? Being persecuted for being a Republican candidate who's a target by the Democratic Party. So I think that's a possibility. And every time his indictments heat up or something happens in trials, he increases his financial backing by Republican voters. He starts seeing a spike in donations to his campaign. So I thought maybe there's a possibility that he could intentionally violate the gag order in order to garner more support among voters. But the other thing I want to say that goes counter to this theory is that there are moments that legitimately make it appear as though Trump doesn't know what the rules are. And what I mean by that is, he made a statement fairly recently about how he didn't believe that he was able to testify in this trial because of the gag order. No, the gag order is about your conduct outside of the trial, right? It's not about your ability to participate within the trial. Of course, he'd be able to testify as a witness or testify during his own trial. The gag order doesn't impact that.
Well, there's two possibilities there. One is that he's a grade A moron and doesn't know the simplest things about the law, as Anna's suggesting here. And especially when you're under trial, you never ask your lawyer, hey, does the gag order prevent me from testifying? That's like the simplest question. You never ever asked your lawyer. It's possible because he is that dumb, right? But of course, the other possibility is no, he's lying on purpose. He's like, oh my God, I'm the victim, not fair, okay? Sally got 2 more cookies than I did, not fair, right? So he's saying it's not fair that he's not allowed to say anything about politics, which is obviously not true.
Right. Now, in regard to the court proceedings today, there was testimony by a Trump organization employee, someone who actually worked under Weisselberg, and the testimony seemed to try to distance Donald Trump from the hush money deal that was made with Stormy Daniels. So one of the people who testified today is a former Trump Organization controller. McConney is his name, and according to prosecutors, McConney assisted in arranging Trump's reimbursement payment to Michael Cohen for the $130,000 in hush money that Cohen had fronted to Stormy Daniels. Now, McConney testified on the origins of the hush money payment reimbursement paper trail, saying that Alan Weisselberg, who he worked under at the Trump Organization, said he had to get some money to Michael Cohen. We had to reimburse Michael. He tossed a pad toward me and I started taking notes on what he said. And so, he's mentioning Weisselberg there, not Donald Trump, directing or dictating the orders. But I did remember an interesting statement that Rudy Giuliani had made while speaking to Sean Hannity back in 2018 about the hush money payments and what Trump knew and didn't know about the hush money payments. Let's take a look at that video.
Newly hired attorney Rudy Giuliani acknowledged President Trump repaid Cohen.
That was money that was paid by his lawyer, the way I would do out of his law firm funds or whatever funds, doesn't matter. The president reimbursed that over a period of several months.
Appearing on Fox News Hannity, Giuliani maintained the president was unaware of details of the Stormy Daniels matter until recently.
I believe that's what
he didn't
Michael
know about
said.
the specifics of it, as far as I know. But he did know about the general arrangement that Michael would take care of things like this.
Giuliani told the New York Times that Mr. Trump made a series of payments to Cohen of $35,000 each, totaling as much as $460,000 for what he called incidental expenses.
They funneled it through the law firm.
Funneled through the law firm, and the president repaid it.
The president reinforced the point on Twitter this morning. He said that Mr. Cohen, an attorney, received a monthly retainer, not from the campaign and having nothing to do with the campaign. These agreements are very common among celebrities and people of wealth.
Now remember, in this trial, Trump is accused of falsifying business documents in order to conceal a crime. What is the crime? Well, in this case, the crime is violation of campaign finance limits and tax fraud because he tried to reimburse Michael Cohen in a way that made up for the taxes that he would have to pay for the new income that he was getting in these reimbursements from Donald Trump.
Yeah, look, that Giuliani clip was just a flat out confession.
Amazing, right?
Yeah, I mean, they say that Giuliani is like now a significant drinker, right? So I don't know if he's admitting these things because he's on the sauce or he's just an idiot, right? But
or both,
right? But it's not just Rudy. Trump often says things that totally prove that he's guilty. He's like, of course we made the payments. When you're famous and you got to cover things up, you make payments. That's falsifying your records, you moron. That's like you're just admitting it. What's amazing in all this, and come on, MAGA guys, to this moment, Trump has still not admitted that he actually had an affair with Stormy Daniels. Okay, look, good news. He can take the stand and then prove that he never had an affair with Stormy Daniels and this money never even existed and never even went to her. Good luck. All right, in the bonus episode for the members, Candace Owens challenges Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro apparently lying about accepting that challenge. Really interesting story, but if they debate, should they do it on Young Turks? Could be. Let's talk about it. tyt.com/team to become a member or hit the join button below if you're on YouTube. We'll see you there.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.